How many people we got? Do you know?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Everybody remember to mute yourself unless you're speaking, if you can.
Can I mute myself?
You have to run the meeting.
Claus, are we live? 5, 6,
We are live.
7, 8. I'm admitting.
Everybody remember to mute yourself unless you're speaking, if you can.
Are we live?
We are live.
Let's call the meeting, the council meeting to order. Does anyone have any special intentions? Councilmember Segura? Unmute Mike.
All right, got it?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Council President. My special intention today goes out to a family that is very near and dear to me. Ms. Doris May Winham, mother of former Council Clerk Gwen Boyton, and grandmother of our current Council Clerk, Ms. Natalie Hall Tatagula, and Code Enforcement Senior Secretary Dana Fink, passed away on April 29th at the age of 91. She, along with her husband, gave the city of Kenner, through their loving guidance and of a long time, an unbelievably valuable employee in Miss Gwen Boyton. Miss Boyton and her husband further gave this city 2 other unbelievably and valuable employees in Miss Tatagula and Miss Fink. Together, all 4 of these women have worked hard to make the city of Kenner a great city that it is. So I ask that everyone please join with me in prayers for this family at this time of their sorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. Does anyone else have a special intention? Councilmember Brennan, will you lead us in prayer?
Yes, Council Chair, thank you. Father, help us to be slow to speak, quick to listen, and eager to give the benefit of the doubt to others. We often jump to conclusions that are erroneous due to our own preconceived ideas or based on past experiences. Give each of us an understanding heart, a forgiving attitude, and a discerning spirit as we relate to those who intersect our paths from day to day. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Councilmember Segura, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure will. Will everyone please join me in placing your right hand across your heart and reciting our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of this United States of America. Wait a minute, I lost my soul. I seem to have lost something here. I can't see anything. George, would you pick it up? I can't see anything. I don't know where I'm at. Hold on.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Get this back
Okay. Natalie?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers and beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout this council meeting. Please note, for the council or the public, if you'd like to speak on a matter, there's an icon at the bottom of your screen under the chat. You can raise your hand and we will recognize you accordingly if you'd like to speak. Is there any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of April 24th, 2020, and the special session of April 27th, 2020. Item 2 is approval of alcohol beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. We have none. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, Council Chairman. I just want to report that in the midst of everything that's going on, things are going well here in the city of Kenner. Our everyday workers, all of our directors, all of our assistant directors, civil servants out there, the council, our police department, our fire department, my administration, everyone continues to do their job. Those that can do their job are doing their jobs. We keep the public updated through Facebook, PSAs. KTV does an excellent job with that. Bob Ross on his end, all those, everyone getting our media out are doing a fantastic job keeping our employees, keeping our residents and our employees updated on everything that we're doing. I don't think we've ever done this many PSAs before. We continue to do those. I think today alone, we probably did 8 or 10 of them. Charles was telling me that earlier. And that leads to what we've been doing. I mean, last week, when we got a little bit of the governor's order that we can do something different, and, you know, those that have outdoor capacity, the restaurants that can do something, we had the idea to call some of these restaurants and say, would you like a city tent? Would you like us to get something to you as a tent? And I tell you what, it has worked. Myself and the deputy CEO and also Adam Campo on a task force meeting today, conference call with the parish for mayors and for chiefs of police. The chief of police was there too. And we talked about what we're doing here in the city of Kenner and how it's affected the sales. This past Friday, compared to the Friday before, some local restaurants that we gave the tents to experienced anywhere from 25 to 45% more in sales, increase more in sales. So those tents you see up throughout the city, whether they say City of Kenner, Benzon, or anything else that they just white, they have signs on that say, we appreciate, myself, the chief of police, the city council, we're Kenner proud, we appreciate them working with us and putting those tents out there through us to make sure that those sales go up. Why do we do that? Because that's going to increase our sales tax. We're helping the businesses, of course, but we're also increasing our sales tax, and those sales tax are going up. So I'm happy with that. I appreciate the council, the district council people supporting that throughout all the districts. I think every district has a tent, at least some of those restaurants. Of course, there's only so many tents that can go out. So I'm sure some restaurants won't be able to get them. We will try to get them as much as we can, but we are trying. There's only so many tents that we can actually physically put up because we don't actually have enough. Today we did our first mask giveaway in the city of Kenner. I want to thank the council people that showed up for that. This morning we did a Meals on Wheels again. I want to thank the council people that showed up for that one too. We're getting a mix of people throughout the day, the donors that are doing this, but the mask giveaway on Loyola Boulevard was a huge success. I think Chad Pitfield has done a fantastic job, recreation director, but Lee and I and Deborah were joking earlier about the logistics guy. He is absolutely the director of logistics. He has done a great job setting it up. I think if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. It flowed smoothly. Our residents are getting those masks. Obviously, there's people that come from outside the city of Kenner getting them. Okay, they're going to get them also. We're okay with that. We want to stop this spread as much as we can. And it's something we should all practice. I mean, we've told the city employees that they have to wear a mask in public. So our city employees should be doing that. I believe they're doing that. And we're asking the public to do it as much as they can when they're out there. Tomorrow, and we're working on another mask giveaway, actually, also. Tomorrow, we're going to go meet and potentially we're going to do something at the Esplanade Mall sometime next week with some parish council members. So I'm working with the parish council members to do that. It would probably obviously be Dominic Ivestada, possibly Byron Lee and Ricky Template to do a mask giveaway with their mask and also the City of Kenner mask. But tomorrow also, we have been asking this for a while. National Medical Center has contacted my office and also Cynthia Lei Shang's office and Dominic's office to do a COVID-19 testing site. This will be a little bit different. It'll be a walk-up site. It'll be in District 4 of the City of Kenner. Originally, they wanted to use the library, which is parish property. That doesn't work because we don't want, and look, this is something that myself and George Brannigan spoke about, and I'm sure the rest of the council would agree. We don't want potentially positive people walking our streets. So we need to, have them in one location and the library spot was not big enough. So George and I decided that the best place to do it would be at the Mus Bernalino site. So they will park by the library. They will park also by the front parking lot by AC Alexander, walk to the back, be tested, get back in their cars and go. I want to thank the Kenner Police Department for meeting with us out there yesterday with the parish administration, my administration, and also Oshman Medical Center. The Kenner Police had this under control. Chief Blazer was there. I think it'll work fine. I know there's some people that have said, why is it a walk-up site? I was on the phone today with Belinda Constant, the mayor of Gretna, and she says it's going to be much better as a walk-up site because it'll move much quicker. So the quicker they get in and get tested, the quicker they get out. That's better. But she had one today, I believe it was, where it was a drop-off site. It took a little bit longer, but it should go much quicker by being a walk-up site. Again, I want to thank all the council and everyone who works for the city of Kenner. I think we're all doing a great job to keep the public informed and make sure that everyone knows what we're doing. And hopefully, we'll only be doing a few more of these and we'll get back to some type of new normal sometime this summer. Council President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember McKinney on the consent agenda. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,699, an ordinance accepting the award of fiscal year 2018 Emergency Solutions Grant funding in the amount of $33,319 by the Louisiana Housing Corporation to budget funding for the Department of Community Development.
I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Carroll to open the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
At this time, I would like to ask Tamithia Shaw to answer any questions that anyone might have. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, seeing no question. Oh, wait, Councilmember Wilmot, you're muted. Unmute.
There you go. I appreciate it, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask Ms. Shaw if she can just give a general synopsis of this.
Yes, Councilmember Wilmot. This is funds that we receive for our homeless. It's the Emergency Solutions Grant. We get from the parish because we're in a regional with New Orleans and Jefferson parishes. We get a portion of it, and we've administered most of these funds already. We're putting in ordinance form so we can get our reimbursement for the funds we've already used for our homeless citizens.
Okay, this is all good stuff then. This is what we need here in Kenner.
Yes, this helps us with our homeless prevention program. There are people who have experienced or are about to experience homelessness, so this has helped us make sure they maintain their residences in Kenner.
Thank you. I know this is probably, you're heavily involved into this, and I appreciate your actions, and I know it's good work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember.
All I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Carroll to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
We have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, second by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. Item 11A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,690, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,062 adopted by the city of Kenner on March 17, 2016, entitled Unified Development Code of the City of Kenner, more particularly amending and rezoning lots 8A, 11A, and 14A, Square 83, Bainbridge Office and Industrial Park Subdivision from light industrial to heavy industrial and directing, authorizing, and empowering the planning director for the city of Kenner to alter and amend the official zoning map of the city of Kenner.
I have a motion by Council Member Carroll, second by Council Member Wilmot to open the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
I have a presentation by Mr. Wendell Dufour of the City of Kenner Planning Department.
Wendell, you are muted. Unmute yourself.
Where's Wendell? Wendell, you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear
Christie,
me?
did you want to speak?
I just have a very brief oral presentation just to run through a couple of key points. And then if you have any questions, I'll be, more than happy. I think the applicant is also in the meeting and he can answer any questions as well. The applicant and the owner of the property is Mr. Edward Moore, 2406 Dawson Street, Kenner, Louisiana, 70062. As part of this rezoning process, the applicant held an early neighborhood meeting. 2 people attended, in which no one expressed any issue with this particular rezoning. The property fronts on 24th Street and also on Dawson, generally bounded by Canal number 14 to the north and 24th Street to the south. The property to the north and east abutting these 3 lots are zoned light industrial, and the property across to the west, also across Dawson, is zoned light industrial. South, all of the properties are zoned heavy industrial. The property has been zoned industrial since 1978. The squares that are located south of the subject lots between 23rd and the airport have all been zoned heavy industrial. There's a lot of uses that are close to heavy industrial throughout that area. So the planning department, as well as the planning commission, recommended that this case be approved. That concludes the planning department's presentation.
Thank you, Wendell. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council or Gregory?
Member
Carroll?
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to personally thank the planning director and the co-director and also the applicant, because before we got involved with all of the chaos going on throughout the world, we had an opportunity to visit with him, the co-director, the planning director, to look at what he was trying to establish and to add to the city of Kenner. It was a good meeting. The reason for the co-director to be there was to inform the applicant that the guidelines that he was specifically asking for had to be adhered to. If not, there was going to be a concern that we were going to have with that. Even if we started it and it got on, we would address that. He understood that, and that is still in play. So we appreciate his participation in that, and the participation of the planning director, because this started like 4 months ago, before March, to be able to show that even though we are going through some challenges, that the directors are doing their job and they are doing the things still to ensure the safety aspect of the city of Kenner. So everyone involved here, this triangle, the applicant, the co-director, and the planning director are on point with this. And as we move forward for this applicant to increase business and to make it better, the neighborhood was involved, the businesses. This area is a really industrial type area. So it's like businesses around who all appreciate and respect one another. So we look forward for this. And thanks again for all the department support. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Does anyone else want to speak? Adam, we don't have anybody in the queue or anything, right?
You have no hands in the queue, Councilman.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Wilmot to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
A motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution authorizing and ratifying any and all applications made by the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana for loans, grants, and all other assistance monies available under federal loan or other programs offered by the United States Congress, and to provide for related matters.
A motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Hayes. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Segura. You unmute, Mike.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to just say that this is just the city's means to go out and see what's out there to help our residents as part of the COVID dilemma we're in. But is there anybody on the meeting with emergency preparedness that can better detail what some of the benefits may be? Anybody?
Council President Doug's on.
Okay.
Doug.
Doug, you got to unmute. Okay.
Yes. So this will allow us as a municipality to seek out grant funding that may be available to us, as you said, for the immediate incident to COVID issues going on right now, and they're likely to go on for some time. There are a number of grants that are becoming available or that have been announced that we are seeking funding for, whether it be for our protective gear that we issue to our police and firemen and municipal employees, as well as personnel cost and equipment cost. So there are a number of different programs that are coming online, including federal programs as well as FEMA programs. And so we're looking at all those various projects, all those various programs to determine which ones best suit our needs, and we're applying for those as we go forward.
Thank you, Director Dote, on that, because as Councilman Carroll mentioned, this is just another example of showing that all of our directors are paying attention to their jobs and looking for ways to ensure the city does its due diligence in finding things out. And in this case, there is a lot of money that's been put up for assistance, and we would be remiss if our department head, Doug Dote, did not go out and look for these funds, whether it be loans, grants, or whatever, so that the city can benefit from them. So I want to thank Director Dote and hope this does bring us some funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Segura. Does anyone else have any other comments? Councilmember Wilmot?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This is a good initiative for our city, and it's important that we utilize and try and find funds that are available out there. And I would ask that we be all added as co-authors on this legislation. If not, then myself for sure. And I open it up. Anybody else would like to join? I think that the administration's done a good job on this, and this is important. Again, and I don't think it's a problem, or administration, I think, is okay with us joining in. If you want to chime in, Ben, Mayor, feel free. Thank you.
Councilman, I'm fine with that, Council President and Council Clerk. I mean, if the council wants to do that, we're totally support that, the administration.
Is everyone in agreement to be added to the legislation as a co-author?
Councilmember Carroll?
I was just saying, Madam Clerk, yes, I am. By my
Okay, let's put your hand up if you'd like to be added to the legislation.
Okay, great. We'll amend it and we'll add those members. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Segura, second by Councilmember Hayes. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution adopting the updated 2020 multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan update prepared and completed by the City of Kenner, the Jefferson Parish Floodplain Management and Hazard Mitigation Department, and Baroka and Benora Engineers and Consultants, LLC, BBEC, under contract RP-0352, utilizing funding provided from HMA Grants FMA-PL-060-LA-2016-998 and PDMC-PL-06-LA-2016-002.
Have a motion by Council Member Brannigan, second by Council Member Hayes. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,691. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with DRC Emergency Services, LLC, to provide post-disaster large meal support in accordance with request for proposal number 20-6533.
Have a motion by Council Member Brannigan, second by Council Member Brennan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,692. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with DRC Emergency Services, LLC, to provide post-disaster emergency support services in accordance with request for proposal number 20-6535.
We have a motion by Council Member Segura, second by Council Member Brannigan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,693. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with Sears Environmental Services Incorporated to provide post-disaster debris collection, processing, and disposal services in accordance with request for proposal 20-6536.
We have a motion by Council Member Brannigan, second by Council Member Brennan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 12,694. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with Debris Tech LLC to provide post-disaster debris management and monitoring services in accordance with request for proposal number 20-6537.
We have a motion by Council Member Segura, second by Council Member Brennan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 12,695. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Magna Sync Movilla Corp. Doing business as Film Tools to furnish PTZ cameras, camcorders, tripods, smart TV, and switcher in accordance with letter bid number 20-1954 and an amount not to exceed $21,160.44 for the Department of KTV.
We have a motion by Council Member Hayes, second by Council Member Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Can I say something, please, first?
Okay, go ahead, Council
What,
Member Segura.
did Glenn have anything to say first? If not, I'll go.
Glenn,
Okay,
did you? Glenn's muted.
Councilman Wilmot has his hand raised as well.
Yeah, I
All
got
right.
him.
well, what I just wanted to comment on is that this equipment is something that was certainly that I've been looking for many years too, to help KTV expand the coverage of our council meeting. And whereas we now do the live stream through YouTube, which has been a great value, this equipment will also bring in high definition to the council equipment in the council chamber. And so Charles is our KTV director is here. Maybe he could explain it a little bit better. Charles, you out there, I guess?
Yes, sir. Basically, as you can see, even through this Zoom meeting, I mean, the cameras on computers are giving us a better quality than what we're able to produce through the current cameras in the council chambers. What these PTZ cameras and the controller will allow us to do is essentially still live switch, multi-camera, the council meetings, continue to stream it to YouTube, But as we grow, in order to grow the audience, where the audience lies now is with our OTT platforms. That's things like Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and those services, which absolutely where we're targeting, trying to go with this, they're going to require us to be able to send them an HD signal to deliver to the consumer, to the residents. So by taking this step in essentially getting to the year 2020 with HD technology, it's going to allow us multiple new ways to reach the community when we implement some of these other aspects.
And just one thing to point out is we've discussed this equipment is not permanent in the council chambers. It can be moved if something needs to be moved later on, correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, again, thank y'all for your work and moving us forward into the technological advances that keep constantly changing, and so that we can provide the citizens of Kenner the best possible way to see our council meetings in action and be able to participate in them. Thank y'all.
Councilmember Wilmot, did you want to speak? I know you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilman Segur and Charles covered everything I wanted to talk about, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I see we have Mr. Greg Teft has his hand up. Adam, can you put him in?
Mr. Taft, you are unmuted.
Thank you. I have just one question, because there's been some issues with being able to use KTV to connect with Cox and to AT&T. Would this be a step forward to maybe possibly make that happen somewhere down the road?
Are you referencing?
Go ahead.
Are you referencing directly in regard to the council meetings?
Right.
Well, the reason that Jefferson Parish sends their signal directly to Cox is they probably have $80,000 to $100,000 worth of equipment to send the signal. On top of that, they also use a third-party service at a cost of about $30,000 a year to send that signal to Cox after they purchase all the equipment. So what we are attempting to do is be smart with what we have in funding, upgrade this equipment that is now approximately 15 years old, and be able to deliver the content at the highest quality possible over a number of platforms so that we can reach more people. We know that some folks do watch it on K76. That is a long process to take this recording and turn around and get it on the channel. Again, having to lower the quality back to standard definition, unless we're in the council chamber currently where it's already in standard definition. So I guess to directly answer your question, there's a significant cost involved in trying to go live to the Cox channel.
Thank you, Charles. Adam, we have Stacy Alessandro with her hand.
Correct. Ms. Alessandro, you are unmuted.
Thank you. I just had one quick question. I was wondering, with the purchase of this new equipment, will it enable us to get the council meetings on KTV, K76 any quicker than we're getting them on now? That's my only question. Thank you.
I think that goes right back to Mr. Teft's question, that essentially what it will do is upgrade the quality of the product and allow us to use new platforms, again, such as Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, when we implement those systems, so that we can reach more people. Specific to the channel, no, it really doesn't get it any quicker to the channel, because we don't have the ability to truly go live as if you're watching a live program, the live news. We don't have that ability to send that direct feed to Cox and air it live. That is not something they provide to us. And as I mentioned to Mr. Teft, it would be a extremely large cost involved in trying to send that live to Cox.
Thank you, Charles. Adam, I see we have Saley Molina with her hand up.
Yes, sir. Miss Saley, you are unmuted.
Okay, hello. I just have a quick question. When KTV was initially established, it was stated that grants would be sought out to fund this type of equipment. Have we sought out any grants, and has KTV received any grants in order to purchase this equipment? That's my question.
The grants that we can go after would be things for specific types of programs, such as a documentary. It would be very specific to what you can use the money for. And the grants also require, and I'm going off of previous meetings with the past person with the city who handled grants, who instructed us that 95% of the time the city would have to be willing to match certain percentage of funds in order to obtain some of those grants. But I believe possibly Ms. Foshi might have a little more information as well, because some of this did come up prior to me coming on with the city as well.
I do. I can't figure out how to raise my hand. Mr. Council President, may I speak?
Yes, you may.
All right, so a number of these items, and this is a very good question, a number of these items, KTV is partnering with other departments. One of the items on our future list includes working with Planetarium to develop teaching modules for teachers vis-a-vis science, something that was partially done in the past. We're looking at a National Education Association for that. So KTV's grant capacity has been twofold. One, looking at very specific funding for specific documentaries, as Charles said, but also providing teaching and training moments. Education is the primary funding out there for communications grants at this point. And one of the things I know Charles probably again knows more about this, is we've already worked with the students from Loyola. We had a couple of ladies from Loyola following us around for respecting one of our programs. So that is basically where this is. It has both sought out support, but also has lent its support to other departments in order to be able to bring additional funding and expand programming. I mean, basically, that's what this is about. It's bringing the funding, but bringing the funding to expand programming. Funding for this particular equipment, which I think was your question, this is from a prior budget year. It may have been 2 or even potentially 3 years ago. So this is old budget money that we're finally getting.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Fauché. Does anyone else have any other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion by Council Member Hayes, second by Council Member Wilmot. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Now we on 15F.
Yes, is Christy still with us? Christy McKinney?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You're not on my screen. Did you just vote yes for the last item?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. I just needed to clarify that for the record. Thank you. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 12,696, an ordinance ratifying the repair of pressure lines of unit number 2026 by Lesson Chevrolet, an authorized dealer with additional parts and labor in the amount of $8,914.57 for the Department of Public Works.
I have a motion by Council Member Brennan, second by Council Member Hayes. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 12,697, an ordinance authorizing the rental of portable toilets on an as-needed basis utilizing the Jefferson Parish contract with Throne to Go LLC, doing business as Event Restroom, proposal 50-128980, not to exceed $60,000 for the Kenner Department of Parks and Recreation.
I have a motion by Council Member McKinney, second by Council Member Wilmot. Council member, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 12,698. An ordinance authorizing the administration to utilize existing state of Louisiana contract number 4400007550 with Napa Auto Parts to purchase vehicle parts, equipment, and accessories for the city of Kenner on an as-needed basis not to exceed $75,000 annually for the Department of Fleet Management.
I have a motion by Council member Segura, second by Council member Brennan. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance approving an agreement with Gilchrist Construction Company, LLC, for utility location services for the Loyola Drive I-10 interchange design build. State project number H.011670, federal aid project number H.011670, and an amount not to exceed $1,200,933.40. Item 16B is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of 817 DARE t-shirts, including shipping at a cost of $5,852.62 from Creative Product Sourcing Incorporated, a sole source provider for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from All Star Electric Incorporated to provide I-10 street lighting repairs and maintenance on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 19-6543 and an amount not to exceed $150,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16D is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Compliance Environmental Systems, LLC, to provide sanitary sewer evaluation services on an as not to exceed $100,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Ram J Construction, LLC, to provide drainage maintenance on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 20-6549 and an amount not to exceed $300,000 annually for the Department of Public Works. Item 16F is an ordinance approving an agreement with BLD Services, LLC, for lift station maintenance not to exceed $700,000 annually and providing for related matters. Item 16G is an ordinance ratifying the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana policy and rates for health insurance coverage for the Kenner employees, retirees, dependents for the fiscal year July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, as set forth in their proposals. Item 16H is an ordinance ratifying the policy and rates for commercial property insurance for the city of Kenner for the policy year June 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021. Item 16I is an ordinance amending the 2019-2020 operating budget to reallocate $2,787,295.85 from various accounts to the general municipal sweep account due to COVID-19. Item 16J is an ordinance approving a contract with Ivy Waste LLC for the collection and transportation of garbage or trash within the corporate limits of the city of Kenner, Louisiana for a period of 10 years and providing for related matters. Item 17 is reports from the council and or special committees.
Does any council member have anything they'd like to say? Okay, Natalie.
Councilman Carroll has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I missed my opportunity early on when the mayor was giving his comments about some of the things specific to the city. So hopefully we can remember some of the things. But just the biggest two things were the sales tax and the logistics, as other businesses within the city are adhering to the rules and the laws of the state and the city of Kenner. One of the things that I also like to add by driving by and seeing these businesses is that the citizens' adherence to the social distancing. Other cities have had issues and concerns or challenges with that. I must say, by going to the different businesses and stores, within the city of Kenner, I haven't seen that most people have 100% either by mask or distance supported that, which has made it a whole lot easier for us, the city of Kenner, the police department, and the stores. So I like to thank all the citizens, for that, because the reality is the city of Kenner we live or die by the sales tax. So for us, I guess while we are dealing with the challenges of the state retail, most of it being shut down, we here in the city of Kenner, we have a lot of businesses that deal with what has been deemed as necessary, essential. A lot of food stores, groceries, fast foods, which has helped us to get to that 40% that the mayor has talked about. So that is fantastic too. So now waiting for the governor's briefing on the 11th will determine the direction the mayor, the administration, the council. We're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. And we're going to have to adjust our plan accordingly with that to continue and to ensure that we still provide the services that we have to. But before that, the safety that's important. One more things, the mayor talked about the mask giveaway, the food distributions all over the city, which is fantastic. I think more people are beginning to find out about that. We look at the news, we see all the lines for the food banks across the country. We are supporting ourselves too with the City of Kenner Food Bank, which is a great investment. There have been some concerns or call in to myself from the office as it relates to other support issues, maybe like the mask and stuff like that, which we have done throughout the city. I have had the opportunity to speak with the mayor and Ms. Shaw relating to that, because I think it's important that perception is reality, but it's important to let people know we have had conversations and we are trying to work with that. I do want to say that there was a mask giveaway at the Dorothy B. Watson. And what I sometimes have to remind the people in District 1 that we are part of District 3, the parish. So we are as entitled to that, you are as entitled to that in District 1 as anybody. And that goes for the city because they're not going to turn us away. But, as I always tease Ms. Foshee about, we in District 1, we are territorial and we're going to die with that. And that's just the way we are. And we are blessed and honored that we are not contiguous like the other districts 2 through 5, because we go through District 1, District 2, parts of District 5. But that's just the way that it is. So I will let the mayor and I and Ms. Foshee are talking, working out some logistical stuff. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the mayor can comment on that. And also if I can ask the attorney Shaw, before I say anything that's going to give people the wrong idea, but we're talking about some things so we can directly support the Lincoln Manor subdivision. So we can directly support the Susan Park. So if the mayor will go first, I will ask Attorney Shaw just to give the ideas that we've been talking about. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mayor Zahn?
Yeah, Greg, you talking about in reference to the mask giveaway or?
Yes, in reference to the map.
Yeah, like we discussed this morning, I mean, District 1, unfortunately, is like almost serving 2 districts, which you know that. So we did the one today. Loyola works because of the way it flows. And look, a lot of people came out there. But as you and I spoke about, I think Susan Park probably works. Chad and I had talked about that also in the past. Susan Park probably works. I want to talk to you a little more about that because obviously it's Susan Park. It would serve that. Veterans Height, it would serve that in Lincoln Manor, but does it serve the Bawdy Lawson area? Does it, and you and I need to go a little bit further with that, but I think that's a potential site to do for South Kenner. Of course, it's for all of Kenner, but for those South Kenner residents that might not be able to get out to Loyola Boulevard. The Esplanade Mall thing is something that we're working with the parish, and the parish has asked for that location. And I said, I didn't say no to it. The COVID testing site was something that they wanted to do on their own property, but I didn't like the way that was turning out. That's why it turned out to be still in North Kenner. But I think that you and I can work together on the Susan Park sight for something maybe next week or the week right after that. Is that okay?
That's fine. And listen,
Okay.
there will never be a perfect location.
Right, I agree.
Put it at, particularly within District 1, because people have challenges as it relates to logistics, as it relates to transportation. So we try to pick out the best spot and then work what we have to do to support that. Just like the food bank supports the whole city, but as Attorney Shaw know, if you are in South Kenner, you have an advantage because you are quicker to the news what goes on. So if Attorney Shaw is willing to come on and talk about some of the things we are trying to look at, I would appreciate it.
And I just want to add this before Tamithia says anything. District 1, geographically, you have Airline, the airport, veterans, and the interstate dividing up that district, which you know that, but I just want people to remember that when we can't really find the perfect spot in District 1.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Carroll. Yes, I've been in conversation with Councilman Carroll regarding the challenges faced by those citizens in District 1 regarding transportation. We have a lot of language barriers also for those non-speaking citizens. So we are trying to make sure that we cover everyone to assist everyone throughout the city. The mayor has been wonderful in having the Meals on Wheels Plus on Thursdays. Going out to our seniors, a vulnerable population, and that's been taking place at the Council on Aging. And then we have our food bank, and we do sometimes have donations that allow us to do our neighborhood choice where people can come out to get the food there. So what we're looking to do now is to cross over to go to the areas of the Veterans Park or the Susan Park area and to the Lincoln Manor to see if we can do some neighborhood choice events on that side of the city of Kenner. We're trying to see, and like I said, it's logistics because like I said, we have transportation challenges for a lot of those people, but we're trying to make sure that we come to them and make sure that it's still safe and still maintain our social distancing. So we are working on some logistics with that with Councilman Carroll at this time.
Thank you, Attorney. And I just wanted to, I'm glad, thank you, Mayor, thank you, Attorney, that, because of the challenges we are having, it's not as easy now as before. We can just literally pop up and do it. Now, there's a number of things we have to go through. So we have to plan a little bit better to ensure the safety first. So as the mayor said, within a couple of weeks, I'm sure the time frame with Attorney Shaw will be around the same time for we to be able to support the Veteran Heights, Susan Park, and Lincoln Manor. So we will keep you abreast, attuned to that. Please look out for my Facebook page, the city Facebook page, and just information from everyone from the administration. So thanks a lot. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have just a few things I want to cover at this time. It's kind of out of place, but I still want to mention it because it's been on my mind for some time now. Earlier on, Reverend Michael Austin passed away. And I understand it was connected to the COVID virus and so forth. And he was a good friend. So it's just tough for me. I know he was friends with Councilman Carroll as well. Good guy, just a good guy. Cherish my friendship with him. And he's no longer with us. So please keep him and his family in your prayers. I have another friend who's having a rough time with it too. Kevin Kiefer. He's been in a hospital for about a month now. So please keep him and his family in your prayers as well. And I'd like to add at this point, everybody really needs to try and do their best to not catch this damn thing. I mean, the best way to do it, of course, is to mask up. Everybody needs to mask up. I find it very upsetting to see our state capitol legislators not putting on masks. They all should mask up. That's just an outrage to me. I find it very disheartening. Secondly, social distancing. Keep doing it, at least 6 feet. I know they recommend 6 feet, but at least 6 feet. Also, hand washing, continue it. It's important. Wash your hands whenever you can. Whenever you come in contact with surfaces that are unknown, wash your hands and use disinfectant if you can't wash your hands. So those things I just wanted to recap, and I thank you for your time, and please keep those folks in your prayers and their families. I know there's plenty of other people who've been impacted by this. I even family members who've been impacted by it. But thank goodness it's not as serious as some of the others. But nonetheless, please practice what you can. I know it's important to have businesses back up running again. We're all for that. We need to get back to life the best we can, as fast as we can. But at the same time, we got to be cautious how we do it. Healthcare is a major factor to everybody. So thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. And the only thing I wanted to add is that Councilmember Segura knocked it out the park for Natalie and her family. And bottom line is, employees like this make us look great. Her and her family have been around this city for a long time, and that's what makes our city great. We are very fortunate to have employees like Natalie to serve with. Thank you, Nat. You're muted.
Item 18, thank you, George, that was nice. Item 18 is new business, we have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and no motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Okay, Adam, I don't see anyone. Okay, I have, we have a list. Adam, just start with the top and go down.
Got it. Mr. Morello, you are unmuted.
Gotcha, my friend. Al Morello, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 48 years. I want to talk about an incident that took place in my neighborhood on Monday, April the 27th, regarding solid waste collection. 4:30 in the afternoon, there was no solid waste collection in my neighborhood. I called Ramel. They told me they was running behind. They would get it. 5:30, still not picked up. Then I called another number I had on Ramelli. Couldn't get a straight answer. So I called the mayor. The mayor contacted Full Waste or IV Waste, whatever y'all want to call them. And they contacted me, young lady by the name of Julie. She said, Mr. Morello, it's kind of late in the evening, but we will pick it up in pick up your neighborhood tomorrow at 6 a.m., which was Tuesday the 28th. Next morning, 5:58 a.m., IV or Full Waste picked up my whole neighborhood. I kept my neighbors informed, updated as to what was going on, when they could expect the neighborhood, not just mine, everybody could expect their solid waste to be collected. I want to express my appreciation to the mayor. I want to express my appreciation to Julie over at Full or IV Waste, whatever y'all want to call them. Second, I also want to express my heartfelt appreciation to the mayor, his wife Dawn, for working tirelessly with the Council on Aging, checking in on our elderly in this city and giving the elderly people and the senior citizens some encouragement during these trying times. Okay? Now, I want to talk about an article in the Advocate. It was in the Advocate this past Monday, May 4th. Okay? With my concerns that I expressed on this switch with solid waste collection at the March 5th meeting, I'm sorry, March 5th meeting has now become a reality. The way I understand it so far, it's being handled in-house, so no outside legal firm has come in yet. So I hope that this thing don't drag on to where we have to bring in an outside legal firm, because if we do, the clock will start ticking on the citizens of Kenner. Okay? Now,
You got 30 seconds, Mr. Morella.
plenty time. That's plenty time, man. Now, I got one more item. I want to commend the advocate for challenging the state of Louisiana for which was a directive that came from the state. Nobody wants to fess up to it, but the directive came from the state telling the advocate to stop naming the nursing homes where we had clusters. The advocate challenged that directive. And now in today's paper, the advocate will continue once again.
Mr. Morella, your 3 minutes is up.
I'm finished, man. Anybody
Okay.
got any comments, any questions for me? Nobody?
Okay, Adam, let's go to the next person.
All right, next up, Mr. Richard Brown, you are unmuted.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mr. Chairman or Mr. President. I wanted to comment on the garbage situation and the IV waste contract and Ramelli. First off, I'm assuming everybody knows that as of today, there have been at least 3 separate lawsuits filed in this case. 2 in Jefferson Parish, 1 in Orleans Parish. One suit was filed by a citizen against the city, and then a few days later, another plaintiff was added and the suit was amended. Ramelli Waste has filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the city. And just today, Ramelli filed a suit against IV Waste in Orleans Parish and got an injunction prohibiting IV Waste from using the Ramelli trash cans. But moving on, the new contract that was introduced tonight for first reading, the ordinance approving a new contract, this is the result of one of those lawsuits, the lawsuit against the city by the 2 citizens, where the judge was about to issue a TRO against the city on the basis that the contract or the ordinance had not been properly entered. And instead, an agreed order was entered where the city agreed to do basically 2 things. First off, there were discrepancies in the price to be paid to IV Waste per month. And that contract called for $11 and some odd cents, I forget what. The judge was about to order, and the city agreed to pay Ramelli for the time being $10 and, excuse me, lost the figure. The exact same figure that Ramelli is being paid, $11.28, I believe, for the time being. And that the city, as part of that agreement, was to introduce a new contract by ordinance to specify a corrected figure. And it's my understanding that figure is supposed to be the same price the city is paying Ramelli. And this contract has to lay over 28 days, not just 7 days. My concern is that this new contract that is before the council now doesn't specify $11.28, which is what's being paid for Ramelli Waste. It specifies $10.98 plus cost of living increases going back to 2016. Folks, it needs to specify a dollar amount. If we are to pay IV Waste the same thing we're paying Ramelli Waste, that figure is $11.28 per month per unit. That's what
your 3 minutes is up.
It's say. Can I have about 10 more seconds, Mr. Chairman?
10 seconds.
Ramelli voluntarily passed up some cost of living increases to help the city out and got great praise from the city when he did it. This new contract should be for $11.28.
Time's up. Adam?
Okay, next up is Miss Stacy Alessandra. You are unmuted.
Hi there. First of all, I wanted to tell Councilman Brennan, thank you for that prayer. That was a perfect prayer for our council meeting. Beautiful. Second, I'd like to call on our council members, most notably our representative charge reps. To please, I have 3 questions, and I'd like to ask that maybe if y'all could pay it, see if they could get answered today. So anyway, I'm going to speak kind of quickly. Under Ivy Waste current contract, Mr. Torres must only pick up recyclables from residents who have requested and received a recycle bin. I don't have a bin. I requested one and was told by email that somebody would get back to me within the next few weeks. Since everybody is paying for recycling, my first question is, are residents going to be charged for recycling this month who don't have a recycling bin, since we can't actually recycle due to no fault of our own? I don't have a bin, and the contract says I have to have a recycling bin from Ivy Waste to recycle. I've asked for one, and I don't have one right now. That's my first question. My second point I'd like to make is that I've been told one of the reasons Mayor Zahn had given to Mr. Ramelli why he had stopped the contract with him was that it was an embarrassment that Mr. Ramelli didn't deliver the recycle cans in a timely manner under the old contract. Are we now embarrassed that we don't have our new recycle bins from Ivy Waste? The contract that y'all brought before us 2 months ago, which we asked not to be rushed. Now, all of a sudden, we don't have garbage cans, some of us. I don't have a garbage can. I don't have a recycle can. And so what am I supposed to do? The city told us to use the Ramelli can in the meantime, and now with this TRO, I have a full garbage can on the side of my house. What am I going to do with that garbage? I'm certainly not going to fish garbage out of the bottom of my can and put it into a new can. I want to know what is going to happen with the garbage cans that we have that are full of garbage right now. Who is going to pick those up? That was my second question. Lastly, at the December meeting, Ms. Fauché had mentioned that she understood that citizens were confused about what we were paying because the water bill doesn't specify how much we're paying for garbage and how much we're paying for recycling. She said that, she thought that that should be separated and on our bill separately, which I wholeheartedly agree with. That was 6 months ago. And as of today, my water bill does not have it separated. So I was wondering if I can have an answer, number one, as to how much is the new contract for? Is it $11.28? And second, are we going to see these separate charges on our water bill? Thank you. I'd like to be able to compare the rates is what it is.
Okay. Adam?
Next up is Mr. Greg Teft. You are unmuted.
Yes, I just got actually one thing. And it's something that's been bringing up before, and I want to bring it up again. It deals with the boat launch in Lake Town. Right now, the sediment is still there, and now I saw where Councilman Infrastato did say that he was working with the mayor's on, and he's trying to get funds and such to get the a barrier or something done in order to keep the sediment from coming in when the spillway is open. But we still have launches that also need to, that really need repair. And we also have an issue. I understand why the park was closed. The problem is people with boats are having to walk a long way from the parking lot near the hotel to get back to the boat launch instead of using the one that was basically right next door. And so I'm just wondering, when is that going to be lifted, when they can start using that? But what if there's any type of time frame when that boat launch would be repaired, and the barrier that Councilman Infrastato and Mayor Zahn are working on, if they have a sort of a time frame in the game. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teft. Mayor Zahn?
Thank you, Council Chairman. Great question, Mr. Teft. Right before the pandemic, Dominic Infrastato, myself, and Councilman Glenn Hayes, being his district also, We're in the middle of working on the okay for the barrier, which would block that sediment from coming in. We were not going to dredge it before during those talks. Chad Pitfield came to me and said, I don't think we can wait any longer. There are some monies put aside to dredge it. In the middle of all this, COVID happened. So all those plans were put off because at the time we thought we were going to close the whole area of Lake Town down. We didn't do that. So again, right now now that we're starting to see maybe a low light at the end of the tunnel with COVID, maybe, I'm not saying we are, maybe. I've started those talks again not with Dominic for that part, but myself, Glenn Hayes, and also Chad Pitfield to see what we can do maybe within the next month. That answers your question on that part. Reopening the park, I'm not looking at that part yet to reopen that park because it's still too soon to stop the spread. I am going to let Chad weigh in on the other part because Chad worked with Kenner Police Department because Chief Glazer has put a unit out there, basically 24/7, sitting right at the top of the levee, right by the floodgates. So I'm gonna let Chad weigh in on the part with the parking, and I know it is a little bit of a pain, but Chad, have you got any more word on what we can do with that? Maybe you can weigh in on that part.
So we're talking about the boat parking, about the boaters.
Yeah, you know how they have to park at the Pond String Center or on the other side of the levee and walk over after they launch their boat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the way that area is set up, there is nothing if we open that area that would keep anyone from occupying that open Lake Town area, which we have closed. Look, I'll tell you, I know the Bonneville Boulevard is open and they're having consistent issues still with people going out there, and they've actually had to hire JPSO deputies to monitor that. With some of the issues that they've been having. I agree. I don't think we're ready to open Lake Town. It's a much larger open green space for us. And like I said, just the way that area is constructed, that city lot on the other side, which is always the spot where boaters go. They know whenever we have maintenance issues or we're doing lighting projects or roadway projects, they know that that's where they park. So, look, I mean, I think as soon as we all agree, we want to open it as soon as we can, but safety's got to be first for everybody.
And I did skip one thing, Mr. Teft. You also asked about the docks itself, where you actually launch. That was also included in our talks with us doing the dredging. So us in the parish will be doing the barrier for sure, but we were also talking about doing our own dredging before that because the barrier could be, a year off before it's constructed. So we're getting back to talking about repairing those boat launches also.
And look, a lot of the stuff too, just so we know, a lot of this has to go through some state offices that are not up and running right now. We were in the process about a year or so ago when the spillway opened, and look, we've had some unprecedented historical openings of the spillway. It just closed the other day. The data shows that, and the flow of the sediment shows that when it pushes out of the spillway, that sediment is what deposits into the Williams Boulevard boat launch, and there's no way for it to get out. So we have to go through the state to work with a lot of that stuff, and those offices, quite frankly, aren't open again right now. So that's going to be a little bit of a hiccup as well.
Okay, guys, Ed Rapier. You have to unmute, Ed. Ed, you muted. Okay.
Not anymore.
Thank you.
Sure enough. This is going to be in response to some comments by Mr. Brown, and then I will answer some of Ms. Alessandro's questions. Or perhaps the other way around is the easier one first. I have not actually seen the TRO that Mr. Brown and Ms. Alessandro have referred to. But I have been told that it is out there, and I have been told that it is.
Ed, can I ask a question?
Yes,
can I ask a question real quick on that part? Is the lawsuit public already?
No, I don't know if it is or if it isn't. It would be, you would have to, I would think at this point, you would have to have access to Civil District Court in Orleans Parish electronic site to be able to see what's on the lawsuit has been filed, because Romelli sued IV Waste in Orleans Parish, not here in Jefferson.
I just find it odd that 2 residents know about it already.
Well, as I say, I haven't seen the order, so I'm kind of surprised that they have copies of it, because I haven't even been able to get copies of it.
Me too. Go ahead. Sorry.
But my understanding is that the order says that that IV Waste is not to pick up Romelli cans. It is an interesting issue because not all the cans that are located that Romelli was picking up belong to Romelli. And it's going to be probably difficult to figure out which ones are Romelli's and which ones aren't. Under the contract, Romelli was supposed to stamp the cans with his name on it. So I would presume only those cans that are stamped with Romelli's name on it actually belong to Romelli. As far as recycling, Ms. Alessandro, the green recycling cans belong to the city and not to Romelli by the contract. Please feel free to put them out, your recycling can out, and IV Waste will be picking those recyclables up as if nothing has changed. The city has put Romelli on notice that Romelli has now created a health hazard in the city because they were told to remove their cans and they have not. So now Romelli has caused a confusion between the citizens as to which cans to use and which ones not to use. We are working to a solution and we'll have that probably in the next 24 hours. As to Mr. Brown's comments on the TRO lawsuits that are filed by the individual citizens, Mr. Brown hasn't been in the meetings, so I know he couldn't know everything the judge said. There were actually 2 temporary restraining order hearings. The plaintiffs lost both of them. The TROs were denied. In the first one, everything was denied completely. In fact, the judge was found some of the complaints raised by the citizens kind of silly, as I took it. And while we normally don't comment on ongoing litigation, and I'm not going to go into much depth on any of them, I do need to make sure that the citizens know the correct facts, that the city has not had a TRO issued against it in any way, shape, or form. In the second meeting, there was a new argument raised that the contract with IV Waste constitutes a fee to the citizens. While the city vehemently disagrees with that argument, the easy fix was to come back and put it up for a 28-day layover. As far as changing the price to $11.28, that was offered by IV Waste because the judge asked the plaintiffs, well, if the price was $11.28, you don't have anything to argue about, do you? And they said no. So Mr. Suarez said, well, let's just take the wind out of the sails and I'll do it for the next 60 days for $11.28. So I think that answers all the questions there.
Thank you, Ed. Adam, I see a hand up. I'm sorry, Councilman Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Attorney, for clarity and for myself, I just want to make sure as it relates to the safety concerns and the garbage pickup for all of our residents. And the question is, it doesn't matter what color your can is, if you put it out, someone will pick it up. And my second part is, everyone should either have an old Romelli can or both a new IV can and a Romelli can. Is that correct? Everybody should have an old can, which may or may not be a Romelli can. And my understanding is that that IV has gotten through the city, through the majority of the city. I'm not sure the exact number that haven't been hit, but there are some that haven't. I don't have an IV can at this point in time. I do have the recycling can. I don't have the garbage can. And again, I have not seen the temporary restraining order that has been issued to IV, not to the city. But the IV will pick up garbage in any can that does not belong to Romelli. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mayor Zahn?
And just so everybody knows, 19,030 cans have been distributed to the city of Kenner. That's 22,000 are needed. So they are 3,000 away from getting all those garbage cans delivered to the Kenner residents. Takes 22,000 households, 19,030 have been delivered already. Should be by next Friday, those cans should be delivered. For the record, we are in the middle of a pandemic. Just like everybody else, the manufacturer of those cans that have to stamp IV on the side have had some COVID-19 issues, employees and such not working. So we do have a letter that has been sent to us that explains to Mr. Sidney Torres why there's been a pause in getting all the cans out by May 1st. But I think with this pandemic, 19,000 cans being delivered out of 22,000 and probably being delivered by Friday of next week is pretty darn good.
Okay, we have, Adam, we have Saley Molina.
That is correct. Ms. Bailey, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. I have some just quick questions. First, I am curious to know, how do we intend to use $60,000 worth of porta potties during a shutdown? I'm curious, that was on the agenda today, and I'm just curious as to how we're going to use those. Second, I wanted to ask, how does COVID affect the dredging of the boat launch and the Duncan Canal project? I would assume that since there's less traffic and there's a shut-in, that it might be a better time to work on those projects. And I just wanted to know, how exactly was it affecting it, and when would it get back on schedule? And then now I have a few questions about the IV waste contract. I'm just curious as to what is the difference of the contract that's on the agenda today and the contract that was on the agenda before? Is there why is it on the agenda again? Is there a defect in the contract that needs to be ratified, or what exactly, why is it on the agenda again? Those are my three questions. Oh, and one last question. Is the final price on the contract of the IV waste contract different than what it was before? What is the final price on the IV waste contract?
Thank you, Ms. Molina. Mayor Zahn?
I mean, this, it's almost ridiculous to answer one of the first questions, but COVID-19 took precedence over everything, including a leisure item. Boat launch is a leisure item. You can quote me on that. Launching a boat is something of leisure. We can't get people to get out there and do it. I think Chad Pitfield said state offices are closed. You need a lot of permits to do it. And we've been a little busy with the pandemic. I mean, if you listen to the comments that I've made at the last two council meetings on Zoom, I know we've had three, but I didn't talk about it at the last meeting. The last two Zoom meetings that I've talked about, we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot to keep our residents safe. Repairing the boat launch, not being able to get permits, all those types of things is not a necessity right now. My people's health, the residents' health and safety is the first and foremost of this administration. I think each and every council member would agree with that. Chad, you take the other part, or the portalets.
Portalets are not specific to the emergency. The portalets is an annual contract that just happens to be up for renewal at this point.
Ed, I think you could take the rest.
Ed? Unmute.
The item is not up for discussion right now. It's up for first read. It comes up for discussion in 28 days.
That's fine. I didn't want to weigh in on legal.
Adam, do you have anyone else?
Mr. Brown has his hand up again.
But isn't he limited to 1 3-minute deal?
That is what.
Ed, I'll let you know that.
That is what your rules are.
Okay.
I see no other hands, Councilman.
Okay. Natalie, you're muted.
Councilman Brennan, hand up too.
What's that?
Councilman Brennan has his hand up.
Okay,
I put my
Councilman
hand
Brennan.
up. I thought Councilman Segura was making a motion. That's.
Motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion.
Member Segura, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to adjourn.
Thank you all.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.